Tvami Mecha solar system. Oort cloud region. When the ship fell, I saw a piece of mechanical ruins on the left. There might be energy we can use inside. I don't want to die. If you want to die, just stay here. I'll go by myself. I want to survive. On the vast, rootless desert land, a badly damaged ship with a pattern of the Hunter Legion of human civilization lay across it. The cannons on both sides of the ship were hung on the fuselage under heavy load. One side seemed to be unable to withstand the years of war. It was buried deep in the ground and could no longer raise its head. The surface of the ship was devastated and scarred. 3 terrifying cracks extended from the head of the ship to the giant turbine at the back. They seemed to be scars caused by the claws of some terrible creature. Inside the ship, Fang Changshan looked unwillingly at the dozen compatriots who were slumped in various corners with expressionless faces and looked very tired. Go ahead. I've been fighting death for most of my life. I'm tired, and I don't want to struggle anymore. In an era where aliens and cosmic creatures are everywhere, let alone low-level beings like us who are born with despicable origins. Give up. Death is a relief for people like us. Among the dozen or so people, some people kept raising their heads. The numb expression formed by being in a desperate environment for a long time made Fang Changshan's heart tremble, and a magical power enveloped his whole body, like falling into an ice cave. They're already dead. Heartbroken. Fang Changshan stopped persuading him and put on his full armor suit. Then he opened a hatch and walked toward the left step by step against the wind and sand. After just a dozen steps, he felt movement behind him. Changshan, I am Lao Sun. I will accompany you. The person who came was the left cabin operator of the ship. His full name was Sun Guanxiao. He was about 30 years old. Fang Changshan didn't know much about his family background. He heard that he was married before and now divorced. He also has an 8 or 9-year-old daughter. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. It seems that Lao Sun still has 2 brushes. Instead of waiting to die, it's better to fight for luck. Fang Changshan was very happy to have someone join him. After all, his strength alone was too weak. If someone came to help him, if nothing else, he could at least discuss it. I roughly estimated the distance. It's about 10 kilometers. At our speed, it will take at least 3 hours to get there. Be careful on the road. This wandering planet has not been developed by the Federation, and we don't know if there will be any cosmic species. Sun Guanxiao said worriedly, even if there may be energy there as you said, our ship's engine is broken. Judging from the current conditions, it cannot be repaired. What should we do? Fang Changshan chuckled and said, do you think I'm going to find energy to save these bastards? That is. Sun Guanxiao's face was full of doubts. I'll show you something good. Fang Changshan took out a small yellow earth-colored cylinder, 2 knuckles long, from the storage box on his waist. It was a small telescope. Sun Guanxiao took the handed telescope and clearly saw through the lens a purple and blue mecha among the mechanical ruins in the distance. It had a thick breastplate and a pair of huge purple-gold wings spread out on its back like angel wings. Even though it was buried among the broken giant turbines and a bunch of super battleships that were split in half, it was particularly conspicuous. Sun Guanxiao's eyes suddenly burst into fiery light. This is an abandoned Tvami combat mecha? However, the next second, Sun Guanxiao's expression changed. A strange reptile appeared on the mechanical ruins. It had stubby upper limbs, a back as convex as a mountain, a grinning mouth, fangs exposed, and green eyes that turned around, as if looking for prey. Sun Guanxiao glanced around and was so frightened that he could hardly hold the telescope steady. The mountains of mechanical ruins are filled with such creatures. They are lying everywhere, densely packed, and very scary. King Qijiao? Oh my god, why are there so many here? Mr. Sun Quan did not dare to look any further. Fang Changshan smiled and said, "Haha, old son, the opportunity has come to turn over and become a new man." Mr. Sun Quan looked at him as if he was insane. "You don't want to die? You would have been torn to pieces by it in the past." Fang Changshan stared at the direction of the Tefami Mecha and snorted coldly. "If you don't go, you will risk your life. I don't want to wait to die like them. This is the only chance. The ship is damaged. It is the only one that can take us back." Sun Guanshao immediately hesitated. The Tefami Mecha is a technology passed down from the Yadong civilization. It is expensive to build. Ordinary people cannot afford such a mecha in their lifetime. This kind of mecha can realize the conversion of matter and energy, that is to say, it can be turned into energy and integrated into the body, which can be released at any time when you need to fight. Moreover, it can also continuously evolve and strengthen by absorbing material resources. Tefami mechas are roughly divided into 3 levels from weak to strong: planetary level, stellar level, galaxy level. Each level has 99 levels. However, the promotion path of Tefami Mecha is too difficult and requires a large amount of material resources to support it. The entire human civilization, with a population of more than 43 billion, has only produced 2 star-level mechas so far. Of course, regardless of strength, every Tefami Mecha pilot enjoys preferential treatment from the federal government and has a distinguished social status. Because this era needs them, they need to fight for it and protect their homeland. Otherwise, they will not feel safe and will die. In the past, Fang Changshan would bow to show respect every time he saw the Tefami pilot. He dreams about owning such a combat mech and flying into space every day. Now, the opportunity has come. What are you going to do? Mr. Sun Quan was also very excited. Use explosions to lure them away. Don't forget what I'm responsible for. Fang Changshan looked back at the dilapidated ship in the distance and said, "The ship's power system is damaged, but the weapon system is still fine. When landing, I deliberately turned the firing direction of an artillery to this side. In 6 hours, it will fire a cannonball in this direction. It is not very powerful, but it is enough to alarm all the Chijiao kings. Then we will run towards the Tefami Mecha." "It seems that you have planned it for a long time." Mr. Sun Quan was silent for a while and asked, "What do you need me for? You can obviously escape by yourself. Why do you want to take us with you? Isn't it a burden? You don't need to do anything." Fang Changshan was stunned by his question. In fact, he had this plan purely because he wanted to save a few more people. Unfortunately, those people had lost the courage to face life, and he couldn't save them. Human civilization is going through a catastrophe now. If we don't unite, I'm afraid the situation will get worse in the future. This is the principle he has always adhered to. When the two arrived at the mechanical ruins, the group of Chijiao kings were crawling through various mechanical parts as if rummaging through boxes and cabinets, looking for substances they could absorb. They used such substances as their main food. In addition, life forms similar to humans also have great temptations for them. Fang Changshan and Sun Guanshao were dormant in the dust, quietly peeping at what was going on inside from a safe distance. We will have to risk our lives to run away in a while. No one can tell whether there will be 1 or 2 Chijiao king who will not be attracted by the shells. If there are, we will be in danger. Just do your best and obey fate. Fang Changshan silently counted the time. When it was about time, the ground suddenly trembled, there was a loud bang, and many piles of mechanical parts fell down. The group of Chijiao kings immediately ran around in panic and quickly crawled towards the explosion site. Sun Guanshao moved forward and wanted to move, but Fang Changshan hurriedly grabbed him and signaled him to wait a moment. It wasn't until almost a minute after the explosion that King Chijiao appeared again that Fang Changshan got up and ran towards the Tefami Mecha. Sun Guanshao licked his tongue and started running hard after him. The mechanical ruins were in a mess, with large and small parts scattered everywhere, so it was very troublesome to run. Always pay attention to the objects under your feet to avoid tripping. The Tafami Mecha was located in the center of the ruins. The two of them were exhausted and panting halfway through. Fortunately, there was no Chijiao King here. Otherwise, there would be no way to escape. However, what are you afraid of? When Fang Changshan came to a huge steel plate, there was a sound under his feet. A Chijiao King that had just been buried in the ground when the mechanical parts fell crawled out. When it saw them, it let out a sharp roar and jumped over at an extremely fast speed. Chapter 2 and Bess. Runs separately. Fang Changshan yelled at Mr. Sun Quan and ran away without caring so much. The two separated, and the Chijiao King looked around and chased Fang Changshan. Fuck! Why are you chasing me? Fang Changshan cursed loudly. He could not look back. This non-combat armored suit was too bulky. Without it, he could not withstand the cold air of the planet and the wind and sand that could blow people away. Without taking it off, he could not defeat the Chijiao King. He was in a very difficult situation for a while. His current position was 200 to 300 meters away from the Tavami Mecha. Based on his speed, he was probably overtaken by King Chijiao before he reached it. Long gown. Sun Guanxiao wanted to come back to help him, but Fang Changshan stopped him because even if he came back, it would not help, but would cost him another life. Without thermal weapons, the two of them could not deal with this Chijiao King. The situation was so urgent that the Claw King chased after him like crazy. It jumped on a splint, jumped across a ravine, followed Fang Changshan's but closely, and bit it with its big scarlet mouth. Fang Changshan had no choice but to roll to one side and avoid King Chijiao's attack. In this way, this Chijiao King just blocked his way. You force me. Fang Changshan got up in embarrassment and stared fiercely at the ugly monster in front of him. It is because of this group of cosmic species that they have to go to the front line every day and live in dire straits. They don't know when they will die, they don't know when they can survive, and they will never see the dawn of hope. It was also them who lost their loved ones when they were young and were left helpless in this world. They could only earn a living by joining the Hunter Corps. The price for this meal is the loss of freedom, being firmly controlled by the Legion and living like a year. The captains hate them with a passion. Fang Changshan took out his only weapon to save his life, the energy cannon. The energy cannon, which is as thick as an adult's forearm, has been charged. This is a weapon that Fang Changshan spent a lot of money to buy. It has not been used for so many years, but it finally came in handy today. In fact, Fang Changshan regretted buying it. The energy cannon was expensive and could only be filled with one shell. After using it, you had to go back and spend money to recharge it. Although it was easy to carry, it was not cost-effective no matter how you calculated it. Now that he can save his life, Fang Changshan is still very glad that he didn't resell it in a moment of enthusiasm. Fang Changshan grabbed the energy cannon hard and did not fire it immediately. He was worried that King Chijiao would be able to avoid it due to his speed, so he had to make sure everything was safe. King Chijiao seemed to be aware of the danger of the weapon in Fang Changshan's hand and did not dare to act rashly. Get away if you don't want to die. Fang Changshan roared, regardless of whether he could understand it or not, but he couldn't lose his momentum. King Chijiao first showed a human expression of confusion, then became angry and pounced with his sharp claws. It seems that the square gown is provoking it. Damn it! You really dare to come. I'm not a vegetarian either. After suppressing it for so long, Fang Changshan was so angry that he aimed a shot at its head. Boom. The energy gathered and the barrel poured out, and a dazzling light erupted from the muzzle, instantly penetrating King Chijiao's body. Fang Changshan underestimated the power of the energy cannon, and King Chijiao didn't even have any residue left under the energy cannon's coverage. Seeing that the danger was resolved, Fang Changshan breathed a sigh of relief. He put down his weapon and was about to catch up with Master Sun Quan. Who would have thought that at this moment, a shrill scream came from the front, and Fang Changshan hurriedly followed the sound. Sun Guanshao, who was running in front, was knocked down by two Qizhao kings who came out of nowhere. One of them bit off his leg, and the other lay directly on his chest. The thick armor on the chest couldn't stop King Qizhao's sharp claws, and a big hole broke. Its stubby front paws took out the bloody lungs and intestines from Sun Guanshao's belly and stuffed them into its terrifying mouth. The creepy chewing sound stimulated Fang Changshan's nerves. At this moment, Sun Guanshao's facial expression still maintained a look of horror, and he was actually not dead yet. His body was twisting and struggling instinctively, like a shrimp thrown into a boiling oil pan, in great pain. However, King Qizhao was too cruel and vicious, and pressed him to the ground. Sun Guanshao's movements became weaker and weaker until he became motionless. This is the scene again. Fang Changshan's eyes were splitting. He had seen too much blood. Aliens and alien species had taken away the lives of his friends again and again, and there was nothing he could do. Just watch. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error, there was an error. Please try again later, that's all we know. Fang Changshan was shocked and angry. He wants to tear these Qizhao kings into pieces. But instinctively, he wanted to escape, far away. Master Sun Quan is dead. There is no way to save it. Fang Changshan breathed rapidly and held the energy cannon tightly. Finally, he turned around and chose to leave, not wanting to witness this scene again. However, when he turned around, his pupils shrank suddenly, and he fell into fear and despair. There were many Qizhao kings behind him, lying all over the ground, so densely packed that there were probably no less than 1,000 of them. Oh, it still doesn't work. Fang Changshan smiled bitterly, secretly laughing at himself for being too naive for actually trying to spy on the Tafami Mecha. After planning for so long, the success fell short, and his own life was involved. Fang Changshan felt waves of weakness spreading throughout his body, his legs became weak, and he even became unsteady. The first Shikla King crawled toward him with a big mouth grinning, then the second one, and the third one... It's useless to do anything now. He can't escape. These Qizhao kings will soon tear his body apart and eat his internal organs. He will die worse than Sun Guanshao. However, at this moment, he suddenly caught a glimpse of 3 meteor-like lights streaking across the sky. Boom, boom, boom. The roar of the engine spread throughout the land. 3 Tafami mechas slowly landed in the mechanical ruins. 2 of them were exactly the same. Their bodies were dark black, as if they blended into the surrounding environment. The mechas emitted strong energy fluctuations, like gods, which was truly extraordinary. The mecha at the front shone with amethyst color, spread out its huge wings, was slender and beautiful, and particularly dazzling. Fang Changshan couldn't help but fall in love with it after taking one look at it. What a powerful mecha! Fang Changshan felt hot at his eyes. Although he didn't have a Tavami mecha, he had seen many mechas from the Hunter Legion compete in combat, and none of them could emit such strong energy fluctuations as they were seeing. The entire mechanical ruins were trembling, and they were about to shatter the planet. So shocking. The square gown looked up. It's really scary. Are they people from our human civilization? Fang Changshan wasn't sure. The arrival of these 2 mechas seemed to frighten the group of Qizhao kings, and they lay prone on the spot, as if they were dead. Fang Changshan glanced around, and saw that several Qizhao kings that rushed towards him and tried to tear him apart were trembling. If only I had such a powerful power, my friends around me wouldn't die. This was the first time that Fang Changshan had such a strong thought. He was extremely eager to have a Tafami mecha. At this time, the 3 Tefami mechas that landed on the ground were converted into energy and integrated into the host body. They were 3 unidentified people. The leader was a young girl, wearing a simple and elegant dress, with delicate features, a tender face, and a few strands of blue hair hanging down from her forehead. She stood lightly on a mechanical arm, with a slim waist and slender legs. A thin layer of light mask rippled around her body to withstand the harsh weather environment. The girl stared at the abandoned mecha, looking very quiet and indifferent. What a beautiful girl! Could she be from the Bexy civilization? I heard that the people there, both male and female, are extremely handsome. Fong Changshan was unwilling to leave like this, so he came here quietly to see if things had improved. The king ordered us to clean up all the test subjects. But when the Qatari civilization invaded, all the test subjects were exiled in order to prevent them from getting these things. There is not much location information left. It is too difficult to find and clean up now. It took more than 10 years to find such an experimental product. It was not easy. They came to the abandoned mecha and started communicating, using the universal language of the universe. Fong Changshan had learned a little bit in the Hunter Legion and could barely understand what they were saying. Isn't it a pity to just clean it up like this? The girl's voice was very pleasant, with a hint of smile in her tone, and said, "The experimental product, its value has not been reflected yet. Miss Anbes, do you want to take it back?" The experimental product back then had major flaws. Now it has developed a perfect model and is famous. I'm afraid it doesn't mean much to bring it back. Why not give it a try? The man and woman who looked like guards following the girl didn't understand what she meant. Do you think this is a very good material? The girl chatted and pondered for a while, then suddenly turned her head to look at where the square gown was hiding. Chapter 3 Night Helmecha. After hearing the girl's words, Fong Changsha came out from behind the machine in embarrassment. Regardless of his own dignity, he hurried forward. Face? Do people who can't even save their lives have the right to raise face? Miss Anbes, I am willing to be the experimental material. Originally, Fong Changshan was thinking about how to get this mecha, but he didn't expect that the girl in front of him actually wanted to give it to him. Of course, he had to seize the opportunity. The 2 guards did not glance at Fong Changshan, who ran over. Their eyes always focused on Anbes. In fact, the 2 of them had noticed Fong Changshan's figure a long time ago, but they did not care about such a low-level life. Now that Anbes mentioned it, the 2 of them couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. Miss Anbes, I'm afraid this won't work. The king has ordered us to destroy it if we find it. It took me more than 10 years to find it, so it would be boring to destroy it like this. The girl curled her lips. The 2 of them didn't know what to do. Are you a native of this galaxy? The man frowned and looked down on the square gown from top to bottom. Why don't you choose a mecha from your own galaxy? You have to know that a person can only choose one mecha as a host in his life. Once you live with this inferior experimental product, you will no longer have any other choice. I have no power, so how can I make a choice? Fong Changshan said helplessly. It's such a weak civilization. It can't even popularize mechas. The man's tone was not friendly. Okay, Mu, have you forgotten Van D's unparalleled attitude on the Chinzi Star? You think that having Yi Zhao's perfect model will make you invincible. I just want to see if this incomplete experimental product grows up and has a chance to defeat him and beat him up. Amber snorted and left. Alas. The 2 guards frowned. Just do as I say, and I will take care of it from the king's side, Anbeth said without hesitation. Okay. Seeing Anbeth make up her mind, although they, as close guards, had a headache, they couldn't say much. Anbeth nodded slightly and looked at Fong Changshan with her beautiful eyes. Only then did Fong Changshan clearly see her face. Under the thick eyelids, The lavender eyes were quite charming, showing a hint of laziness and cold pride. The high bridge of her nose, the snow-white skin that could be broken by a blow, and the delicate neck like a swan showed her movement in every move.